to rock and roll!
Hello my friends. My name is Bot Mathematician and this is Anomalous.
Also, Chief Investigative Reporter Dora joined us this evening.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop. Guys, today I want to discuss an important and unusual phenomenon. I found that during the expansion phase of Festival of Legends, players received an abnormally large amount of free resources. I called this phenomenon the collapse of packs. I know that you are very serious about the balance of rewards in the game and even stated that the increase in free resources can hurt Blizzard's profits. The company has significantly upset the balance of easily accessible rewards, and this can indeed lead to unpredictable consequences. Players could accumulate too many rewards for events and other activities, which can lead to a decrease in interest in pre-orders. Is Blizzard trying to hurt themselves? What is the reason for this generosity?
Dora, we are glad that you paid attention to this phenomenon. Dear friends, today you will find an unusual video. We will conduct a real investigation, collect evidence step by step, and share interesting facts. At the end of the video, we will make unexpected conclusions about the true reasons for the increase in rewards. You will have the opportunity to test your knowledge of the current state of the economy. Pay attention. You may find the correct answer before we announce it.
We regularly monitor changes in the number of free resources and inform you about significant things, including cases when developers resort to various manipulations. Over the years, we've come up with a theory about the strict balance of free, easily accessible resources in Hearthstone. Blizzard offers players a strictly limited number of rewards and gives them out drop by drop. The total amount of free resources is objectively sufficient for comfortable competitive play. Hearthstone is a collectible card game and the process of collecting is a very important aspect. But due to the limited amount of easily available resources, the player cannot get the full collection of cards, although this fact does not affect the competitive aspect. If you want to be able to collect all the cards during the expansion phase effortlessly, you need to buy a pre-order for $80 and add all the free rewards to it. You can also get all the cards for free, but for this you will have to play daily for 10 to 12 hours.
In other words, at the heart of Hearthstone's progression system is a balance between player hunger and a carefully balanced portion of daily free food from the developers. With the help of rewards, players drop by drop access to more diverse strategies. But for many players, this process is too long and tedious, which encourages them to make a purchase. It is extremely important for developers to maintain a balance. Players should be comfortable playing and competitive, but should always feel under-resourced to increase variety.
Despite this, the economy is fair enough if you use resources very rationally or occasionally make purchases. In 9 years, the economy of Hearthstone has become much more flexible and more convenient. We can collect much more cards than before, and we have a sufficient number of tricks that in the long run, allow us to cheat the system and reduce hunger.
For this reason, we get the impression that Blizzard is not completely satisfied with the current balance of resources. Some players definitely have less reason to spend money thanks to tricks. For example, we are convinced that the original function of the rewards track was to drastically reduce the balance of resources and introduce restrictions for free-to-play players. But the consolidated boycott of the players did not allow this. In any case, reducing rewards is an extremely risky plan, since the current amount of resources is a conditional compromise between the players and the company. If the number of rewards is reduced, then many players will leave the game permanently. The same goes for increasing rewards. This will definitely please the players, but the company will definitely lose revenue.
Despite this, the Hearthstone team continues to use more subtle and manipulative methods to slightly reduce the balance of free and easily accessible resources through the release of additional content. These actions do not lead to unequivocal consolidation of the community and mass protests, although they usually have negative consequences. The Path of Arthas Death Knight set is one example of such manipulation. This extra mini-set forced players to spend more gold or money.
But the current situation is beyond understanding. For the second time in the history of the game, Blizzard has significantly increased the number of free rewards without making changes to the progression system. We received a really anomalous number of packs during events, and for special activities.
We traditionally follow the main events and compare rewards. Let's look at the history of the Fire Festival. For 6 years, the number of useful rewards has been steadily declining. It is worth recalling that the original function of the events was to increase useful resources, which were supposed to compensate for the significant increase in the cost of the game in 2017. For this reason, gold or upcoming packs have more value than packs from previous expansions, since they will only bring useless cards to the active player.
For the first time, Blizzard broke the trend. This time we got more useful rewards. What's more, the Festival of Legends pack has a little more face value compared to other standard packs, since the expansion phase hasn't ended yet.
Despite the obvious downward trend in useful rewards, this does not mean that Blizzard has reduced the overall balance of free resources.
For example, the reward for completing quests increased, but the rewards for events decreased proportionally. The players, in turn, most often had the false impression that the economy was becoming more loyal or they were getting more resources, although the overall balance remained almost unchanged.
This infographic does a great job of showing how Blizzard manipulates free resources, and this is just one of many examples.
Please pay attention to an important nuance. We consider this type of manipulation harmless. Many game studios resort to similar tricks. Yes, it's a little frustrating. We don't justify Blizzard's strategy. But there is no harm in the fact that a fairly fair balance of free resources almost does not change. At the same time, this does not mean that the current approach to monetization is fair to absolutely all players. The economy needs serious changes for certain categories of players.
Dear viewers, before we continue our investigation, we have a huge request to you. Please share with us in the comments your results on the current level of the rewards track and the percentage of received gameplay achievements of the Festival of Legends. Your data is the only source on the basis of which we determine the involvement of players over the past 4 months. Thank you so much for your help and activity.
Let's get back to the pack collapse. In addition to the increase in rewards during the Festival of Fire, we have many other new events with very generous rewards, a unique vote for the best Titan, and new Twitch activities that offered us a large amount of resources. In total, during the expansion phase, players could receive up to 45 different packs. During the previous expansion phase, players received 19 fewer packs. We managed to find information about the reward during the Sunken City phase. It looks like Blizzard gave us only 15 packs at that time. So we received 30 packs more than last year. This is an incredible increase in resources, even if you consider that almost all of them were packs from old expansions, which means they are equivalent to dust. Guys, as far as I remember, a similar situation was during the Saviors of Uldum. The total amount of free resources has unexpectedly increased significantly. Are the reasons for the increase in remuneration the same?
Dora, the Saviors of the Uldum period, was the most generous in history. The main reason for Blizzard's generosity was several factors. One of them was the Blitzchung disqualification scandal. The second factor, in our opinion, was the manipulative reduction in the balance of resources through the release of additional content in the form of dungeon runs. The company was forced to distribute gifts in order to regain the loyalty of the players. We talked about this in detail in a special video. Don't miss it if you haven't seen it yet.
We are almost at the end of our investigation. Perhaps you have already guessed what is the reason for the change in the number of free resources. We can get a little hint by looking at the statistics of the usefulness of pre-orders. Let's first take a look at the new Mega Bundle. Unfortunately, this time the developers have prepared an ambiguous offer for us. Firstly, the number of golden packs has been reduced from 10 to 5 in comparison with the previous offer. The decrease in golden packs in this bundle means that the first golden legendary card is not guaranteed, although you still have a chance to find it. Instead, the developers have added a diamond Ziliax, which has more of a visual value. The second amazing thing is the new skin for the Death Knight, which isn't really new to Hearthstone. Since this is the base art for one of the Battlegrounds heroes. We see such an ambiguous approach for the first time. As a result, for $1 you will receive a total amount of resources which is equivalent to 1.4 packs. Which will allow you to get 45% of the complete collection. As you can see, this offer is less profitable than the previous one. This time the usual pre-order has a little more benefits. Notice also an interesting detail. In general, pre-orders have become less profitable than before, although the offers have not changed significantly. So what's the reason?
Let me sum up the results of your investigation. At the heart of Hearthstone is a rigorous balance of free resources, which the developers carefully maintain. Increasing or decreasing rewards can lead to unpredictable consequences. The developers sometimes resort to manipulative minor reductions in resources, but the increase in the balance of rewards was applied only once in a critical situation. The important thing is to make you think that the game is gradually getting cheaper even though nothing significant is happening. Guys, I'm tired of waiting. Are you ready to announce the reasons for the increase in rewards?
The cause of the anomaly is a Death Knight. Unlike Demon Hunter, the 11th class release made the game significantly more expensive. We now have more legendary and epic cards to collect, but the rewards track remains the same.
March of the Lich King was a very expensive phase. We can only assume that the reduction in the balance of free resources did not bring the desired financial results. Perhaps this was the reason for the restoration of the balance of resources. However, there is another compensatory factor in the form of the new signature cards, which have the same drop rate as the golden legendary cards. If you found at least one card in your packs, then you received partial compensation for increasing the cost of the collection. But due to the extremely low chance of receiving cards of this rarity, most players are unlikely to receive this compensation.
For example, during the expansion phase, I opened 215 packs of the Festival of Legends and did not find my signature cards.
Take a look at these updated statistics. During the Castle Nathria phase, to get a full set of cards, you only needed to open 230 packs, plus collect all the rewards from the reward track except for gold, and also provided that you found at least one golden legendary card in these packs.
After the release of March of the Lich King, under the same circumstances, you must additionally find at least one signature card. In this case, you will need 240 packs. But if you are unlucky enough to find a signature card, then you will need 250 packs. But if the 30 extra packs that we received as rewards turn into dust, then the required number of packs to get the collection will decrease by 20 and return to 230 packs as before. In other words, Blizzard did not increase the balance for most players, but simply restored it. Only those players who were able to find a signature card received more resources.
The result shocked me. I am once again amazed at how carefully the developers measure each reward in the game and adhere to the gold balance of free resources. This approach is ingenious, as Blizzard now has resources in its hands that are part of the balance of the game and the company can freely manipulate them. For example, in this expansion we received our compensation rewards, but in the next phase of the year, the amount of resources can be significantly reduced to encourage players to make purchases. But even if the company does not resort to such manipulations, these rewards will still be perceived as generosity and an increase in the loyalty of the game.
Finally, we can't wait to get your opinion on the current state of affairs in the economy.
Have you noticed a significant increase in rewards? Has the game become cheaper in your opinion?
Share your thoughts in the comments and join the voting for the best new legendary cards on our community tab.
Finally, we want to express our boundless gratitude to our sponsors. Dear friends, your support is invaluable. Many thanks to each of you.
We also want to welcome new subscribers to our Mathematician Squad. We only see nicknames of public users who have not hidden the subscription section on their channel, but we are grateful to everyone for joining.
Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for spending this time with us. We really hope that we will have the opportunity to get in touch in the next video.
Take care of yourself.
And never give up.
Freestyle!
Job's done.